Today we receive a debut of Christian author whose life is a living testimonial of survival, faith, and resilience. Her coming book, God Will Use the Broken You, shares her extraordinary journey of overcoming odds and finding purpose in pain. Her story began with a miracle, as she was pronounced dead at birth. Doctors told her family that she wouldn't live till 5 years old. But as we know, she beat all the odds, and guided by her Christian faith, she felt called to share her story with her writing. So today we say, welcome to Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Hello, Pamela.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
How are you
I'm
feeling?
wonderful. I'm great. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. It's a little bit earlier, but well. So, Pamela, tell me, how did you become a writer?
What inspired me to be a writer? I wanted to tell my story to hopefully try to that it will be an inspiration of hope to others. Because I believe that when my story was unique within itself, at birth I was pretty much pronounced dead at birth and was told that I would not live beyond age 5, and here I am today. So I have to tell a story about my relationship and my walk on this journey with God, and hopefully to introduce others to grow and build a relationship with God.
Okay. How many books do you have out there right now?
Actually, this is my very first one. So it's more to come in the future. So I'm really excited.
I'm happy to hear that. Did you get inspired by the work of another author?
Yes, I did several other authors. Bishop T.D. Jakes, for one. He has always been, obviously someone in the books that I usually read, and it really inspires me about his journey. And he also actually inspired me to tell my story. So, and there's several others, but at the top of my head, it was Bishop T.D. Jakes that really inspired me to tell my story.
Okay, okay. Uh, by the way, what is like your day job, or are you right now a full-time writer?
Well, a little bit of both, but I actually launched my business, and it's Rich One Enterprises. And so what it is that I'm a certified paralegal, and I provide services, legal documents or whatever, for small businesses or individuals who want to hire me to provide documents or some form of feedback outside of litigation. What I just do is all the drafting for their small businesses, and just to try to help individuals understand the language that they're reading. If they receive a document from, you know, from the IRS and they don't understand the language, well, they will contact me and I would try to help them to understand exactly what it means.
Okay, I get it. Oh, that is fun. So, do you think your work or maybe your hobbies inspired the way you write?
Yes, definitely. I feel that me being the answer, hopefully an encouragement for someone. So being able to help others to understand, it brings you back to mind to when I was a little girl and actually growing up knowing that my dad only had a third grade education and my mom only had an eighth grade education, and to be able to sit down and read to them and explain what was really happening with the document that was sent to the home. And I promised my parents that that one day I'm going to like be an attorney, to where I would be a resource for people, be a mouthpiece to help people to really understand, and to be a help. And that's really actually led me into writing this book, because a lot of people have given up, and if they receive documentation through the mail, people are full of fear and they would not respond because they don't really understand what they're reading.
I understand. Okay. So, did you ever think this will happen in your life, like, becoming a writer at this stage?
I've always had a dream. It was always placed in my heart by God. And my grandmother told me when I was a little girl that one day people are going to read about me and I'm going to be able to help a lot of people. And as a little girl, I didn't quite understand it, but I believe that what she did, she was basically speaking into my future. And I always knew that I had a story, but I procrastinated but yet still I was still living out my story. In order for me to have written this book now at this stage in my life, so I had to complete those chapters in my life in order for me to help people to understand at a very young age, and even in your broken stages in your life, how God still uses us throughout our journey.
Wow. Well, at least it didn't came as a surprise, I suppose.
No, it's not a surprise, but but for a long time, I probably was in disbelief because I just kept writing things down, and all of the experience that I talk about in the book, it's what I actually lived. So in order for me to help others, I had to experience what I'm talking about.
Yes, that's usually the best way to do that, actually.
Yeah.
And it feels more personal. I mean, everyone can give advice for things that never happened to them, just using plain logic. But
Yeah.
in this situation, your topic specifically, it does need a personal touch.
Yes. Yes.
So, do you have any advice for writers starting up right now?
Yes, I do feel that if you push past your fear and just do it, because it was many times like before I contacted your company, I wanted to give up because the book was already written, but then I started running into a lot of roadblocks, not knowing how to publish, not knowing how to pull things together, not actually knowing how to get it edited, and to have a team that works so closely holding your hand and actually making me feel comfortable. And if I can help another new writer push past your fear, finish the book, tell your story.
Okay, okay. Well, yeah. And now you're basically finishing already. I mean, you're in
Yeah.
editing stage, right?
Yes, everything is ready to go, and I'm just waiting for the thumbs up, and I'm going to, be a published author, and I'm just excited about the whole experience.
Are you self-publishing or traditional?
No, I'm not doing this self-publishing. Well, I'm working with this dynamic team from Markee Books.
Yeah.
um, so you all are helping me actually, well, just to pull this thing together, and I'm just excited about the process.
Well, I'm happy to hear that and that you pick us. Okay. So right now you're editing your own books, or maybe do you have like a friend or someone helping you with that?
Once again, what that was one of the team members with Markee Books is actually prior to me actually partnering with Markee Books. Well, I do have like a couple of my friends who are English teachers and people who would read the book and then they would give me feedback. As far as editing, I hired a local editor who actually, he went through the books a couple of times, the pages, and just made small little changes. But everything was basically just having the community of people who would support me and just to give me the feedback that was needed for the book.
That's a misconception. Most people think writing a book it's not a solitary job. It doesn't need to be.
Correct.
And honestly, it never is in the end.
Right. Never,
It
never. It
never
takes the
is.
community. Yes. Well, it takes the community to help you to be able to see the big picture and to get the feedback. What really touched me and inspired me is to get the feedback from my peers. And some of them was very emotional when they was reading a chapter or two. They actually got emotional as they were reading it and giving me the feedback. So that really helped me and just continued to push me to finish the book.
Wow, that's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you can make that reaction to that person, I think you did a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully it'll be a bestseller.
So, what do you think is the most difficult thing you have to struggle when you started writing your book?
Wow. That's a good question. Being transparent and being vulnerable, to be able to allow my feelings and my true authentic self to be on the pages, to be able to really give someone a peek into who I am and how God has he has transformed someone that was broken, and he has given me the purpose to be able to now understand why I am here on earth. It's not for me, but it's to be and inspiration to be able to help others to understand that you too are better than where you are right now. You just have to hold on and keep pressing through.
Do you have like maybe a writing routine, maybe like pre-planning, plotting, improvising?
Usually it's early in the morning. Um, Sometimes, well, I call it like a nudge from God. It usually happens between 3 or 4 in the morning, and He gives me something to write, but it's tying into my life story, if that makes sense. Some of the some of my life experience, like being rejected or being, like ostracized by someone on your job, or you end up losing your job and then you're trying to figure out what did I do wrong? And then it seems like what the Holy Spirit gives me scriptures in the Bible to tell me that is a part of the journey. And I tie it into that. And then I take what I'm experiencing and I start writing, but I'm telling the story to where it's really personal, and sometimes I start crying when I'm writing. So I know that what I'm putting on the paper, it doesn't have a set time for me, but it's usually early in the morning. When it's peace and quiet, when there's no cell phones, when there's no TV, it's just me and God, and I can hear from Him clearer, and then I can write better.
Wow, so you just write at 3 a.m. every day?
Yeah,
That's
pretty much.
harsh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. I mean, I understand a 5, but 3.
Yeah. But I once was told by my grandmother, then I didn't believe what she said to me, but she once told me that if you find yourself not being able to sleep between 3 and 5 a.m., she said, get out of bed, fall on your knees, pray to God, ask Him to speak to your heart, and He does. And I tried it, and that's what I've been doing. So for years, I just been getting up, and I always kept paper and pencil by my bed. So if He gives me something, I wrote it down. And it's certain things that's in the chapter of the book that I talked about death or the being married and going through divorce, that type thing. It tied in to scriptures in the Bible, how He was helping me to understand what I went through was not for me, but was to help others.
I understand. So, Pamela, can you tell me a bit about how do you deal when you don't have ideas or you get like stuck or blocked?
What I do when I feel like I cannot write that day or that morning, and then sometimes it doesn't come for me every day. So I go out into my yard and I do gardening. So I try to not force myself to, think or to try to come up with something that's superficial. So I put my focus on something that is going to keep me relaxed, joyful, and sometimes it may be a day or two. But like I said, it's usually 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I get that nudge. And sometimes I don't want to get up, but I know I have to because that's my divine appointment for me to say, okay, God, what do I say here? I want to be able to help your people. Tell me what to say. And then He gives it to me and I start writing it down. So, so it comes in different spurts. It doesn't all comes at one time. So this book has taken me pretty much all my life.
What can I say? At least you make something out of it, I guess, for the book. So, can you tell us a bit about your book? Like, what's the title? What is it about?
The title of my book is God Will Use the Broken You. And it has a heart that's broken. It's black on the outside, but there's a bursting of light coming from between the cracks. That's simulating that God will heal and He will use a broken you. I feel that when we are broken, when we're hurt, loss of jobs or death of a mother or father, when you feel lost, the Word of God says that the Spirit of God will come bursting through. And I feel this book is having a relationship with God, and it simulates how God seeps through the broken cracks of our hearts and in our lives. And he reassures us that he loves us. He's always by your side. And that's what the book is about.
Okay. Do you have a story of how you named your book?
Yes. As I mentioned early on, is that the very first day that I was born, I was born with spinal meningitis in the 60s. So my parents was really poor. And I was in a coma for the first 3 years of my life. So they pronounced me dead at the age 3. So I came from a large family, a family of 9, for the doctors to tell my parents to bring all her siblings around her to say goodbye. Now, my grandmother stayed, once all my brothers and sisters came, said their goodbye. My grandmother stayed by my side and she told me the story after the fact. And she said it was around 3 a.m. in the morning, and my little frail body was on the table with a white sheet over it. And she fell asleep in the chair, and she was awakened by a bright light, just like right on my body, and it was going back into the ceiling. So she thought it was the nurse coming into the room to let her know that I had transitioned on. But when she sat up, I sat up on the table and I started talking as though that I was in school, and I was, just talking, talking, talking. And the nurse saw the light, and the nurses came through the door and they couldn't believe their eyes, but I was sitting up on the table and they called the doctors. Long story short, well, my mom had an article where they called me a miracle baby because I should have been either deaf, blind, something should have been wrong with me. But here I am today telling my story. But that shimmer of light in a dark room, that gave me the title, Making It on a Broken Piece. And it started making it on a broken piece years ago. And then 3 months, maybe 6 months ago, when I was sleeping and I got that nudge again, and I picked up the piece of paper, and that was the title, God Used the Broken Me. And that's it. That's how I got it.
It's a beautiful story. Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
it. So, what is like your largest goal right now as an author?
My largest goal is that I want this book to be read by millions of people. It's not for the royalties, but it's to hopefully reach one. Hopefully it can make a difference in their lives. But I will, like, even if I sell 1,000 books, I'm good. But maybe that 1,000 book could be passed on to someone else, and make a difference in the world. That's my goal. Is hopefully it's a great read, and hopefully it could make a change in people's lives.
So, how's your relationship with other writers? Do you have other writer friends that have give you advice or something?
There's several writers within my local church, but they're elderly, women who have now passed on. But I did have a relationship with several of them prior to them, transitioning on. Several of them have written novels, and I sat up under them and I asked them questions. What make you write the way you do? And one woman really touched my heart, and her name was Miss Ray. She lived to be 106. I went to her birthday party every year, and I always ask her, what inspired you to write? She said, learning how to listen to the right voice. And she kept saying that to me. And she told me, write your story. Put your story in a book to teach others to learn to listen to God and listen to the right voice. And that was really
eye-opening.
Yeah, eye-opening for me, because I said, she's been telling me this for years, and I kept procrastinating. But right before she died, I went to the hospital and I visited her, and I thought that she wasn't going to remember, and she said it again. And I was like, Pam, you got to remember, she's already written, and she's written well over 30 some odd books. And she was an educator for over 30 years. And I, just picked up little nuggets from her. So, so I'm just tremendously blessed to be able to have spent the time with them for that wisdom. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, do you have any experience with readers that you remember fondly?
Not really with readers. Well, I actually do have a couple of people in book clubs throughout the city. Um, and they are a dynamic group of individuals. And I just love going to the meetings just to hear the feedback about the books. And when I shared with them that I wrote a book, and they said, "Well, Miss Pam, you gonna let us actually dissect your book?" I said, "I'm not sure. I'm not sure if my book falls in the category of the books that they were reading, because it was more fiction, but I'm excited about wanting to hear their feedback about my book once it's published." So yeah.
Well, hope they like it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
So tell me, what are your plans for the future? Once the book is out, are you planning to promote yourself, maybe go to an event?
Once the book is out, once again, I'm going to be getting some help and some hopefully hire your team to help me to promote my book, because yeah, so I think that you all are such a, a dynamic group of individuals, and I'm just excited about like moving forward with you and your group and your team, because like I said, I have no experience with that, and I'm just open for whatever feedback and the guidance that you all give me to help me to promote my book.
I have a guest before that told me that even with all the online helps and etc., there's power in going out and sell a book yourself. I do feel that you should try that too, at least in a local library once the book is out, and see
Okay.
if they can help you, at least with one of those book signings.
Okay. Okay.
I feel it will be helpful for you. Not so much for selling tons of books. It's just so your readers locally will see you, just see that you're a real person, that you're there,
Okay.
that this is who you are, and
Okay.
will actually give you confidence.
Okay. Okay. I
I,
agree.
I have interviewed other authors in the same position, and they love actually going there. Some went to events in their states, those book fairs that's you can find in everywhere, and they always had interesting stories of their experiences there.
Right. Okay. I'm pretty sure that I can probably start with my church, and from there, probably local bookstores or coffee shops. So, yeah.
That's an excellent idea. You mentioned you're already working on your sequels, right? Can you tell us a little bit about it? No spoiler.
It's still in the works. But it's probably going to be a continuation on this journey, and it's going to be a little bit more of a deeper dive, to where hopefully learning how to stay connected and learning how to stay connected to the right source. And the right source for me is God, Jesus Christ. Hopefully it will continue to help build hope and faith within the community, because this book is to be able to inspire and to help others. So I just hope that they love the book, and you never know what's in the future.
Okay. Can you tell us in which platforms are you planning to release the book?
Amazon, because I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Amazon, Books a Million, I believe, and several others, like any and everywhere books are sold. But as far as my social media will be TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Yeah.
Oh, you have a TikTok.
Yes, I do have a TikTok.
Oh, what do you make there?
Actually, well, it's just the uploading of the videos that I have from my YouTube channel. So I have about maybe 200, a little bit over 200 short videos on YouTube that has been uploaded to TikTok. It's nothing outrageous. It's just a quick little 15 seconds of inspiration, could be a prayer or whatever. So, but it's not in competition with all the wildness out there on TikTok, so it may not get a lot of likes because people want, fanfare and weird stuff going. Yeah.
I don't know, makeup videos or something.
Yeah, something like that. But mine may be coming across boring to some people, but some may pick it up and some may just actually, just be inspired.
I personally prefer not to think about it too much because I'm on YouTube too, obviously.
Yeah.
Because in the end, your community, your demography, it's going to be there somehow.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about what's popular, to be honest.
Right. I agree.
Because in the end, the right people that needs to look to see your thing will see your thing.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I think that's all for now, Pamela. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today and for this nice conversation. Your story is very interesting.
And thank you for having me, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela. Bye, and see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Pamela had a lot to say today, but I want to point out one thing. Don't wait for the perfect time to start. Pamela began writing while still working through a lot of challenges. She reminds us that we don't need to have all figured out before you begin writing your story. Sometimes all we need is just a single push in the right direction. Well, thanks for coming and joining us today. And if you find this episode inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video. And give Markee Books a try in the link below. Have a nice day and see you next week. Bye.